All right, looks like we're live. Welcome to the Standout Business Show, where it's all about making a bigger difference by doing business differently. I'm Brad Powell, your Standout Business Coach. And for our show today, if you've been thinking about using LinkedIn ads, but you're worried about maybe it costs too much, or worse, it's going to waste your money, then I want you to listen up, because it is not every day that you get to record a podcast with a LinkedIn top voice to talk about LinkedIn ad strategies. And if you've been active on LinkedIn at all recently, then you've heard a lot about the need to post content regularly and engage on the platform, but that can be super time consuming. And it gets to be this whole extra job. So the question we're going to take a look at is, could LinkedIn ads be a good solution for your business to get your message in front of exactly the right audience and get your business to stand out from your competition? So get ready for a great discussion with Joshua Stout. He's the Director of Advertising at Influence Social, and he may be one of the most prominent LinkedIn ad experts that we could get a hold of. So stay tuned, because Josh is going to walk us through his strategies for running a successful LinkedIn campaign, even if you're a little guy. And with that, let's start the show. All right, Joshua, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, so to start us off, let's take a sort of a big picture look at LinkedIn ads and the LinkedIn ad space. There have been some pretty interesting updates and changes that have come down the pike. One of the most prominent that I know about is the ability to do thought leadership type of ads. And so part of the approach that I'd like to take is for the folks they're running their own business, and what they're feeling like is not only do they want to get their message out, but they want to humanize the business. It's like they want to, LinkedIn is actually a great place to be a human instead of a corporation, because the whole look and feel of LinkedIn has been very corporate. And so one of the ways that you can stand apart and be quite unique on the platform is to just show up and be a person. And now that you can do these thought leadership ads, you can take anything that you've done in the past, particularly if it's a video, and turn it around, boost it kind of the way you could do it on Facebook, and turn it into an ad campaign that is now putting you, like you, the person, in front of exactly the target audience you want to reach. So give me a little bit of your perspective of, like, you've been doing this for a while. You've seen sort of a shift in both the platform in terms of its features, but also in the desire of people who are thinking about doing ad campaigns.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's been quite an evolution watching how far LinkedIn has come. I think even a few years ago, pre-COVID, a lot of people still considered it a job platform. You go on, you look for jobs, recruiters were using it a lot to find talent for businesses. But after COVID, there was a paradigm shift of really kind of like what it was as a go-to platform in the professional space. And the reason for that was people couldn't go to conferences. They couldn't go door to door. They couldn't go to events. You couldn't network your business in person anymore. And so LinkedIn was sitting there waiting for everybody. And they said, hey, we've been more than a recruiting platform. We are a business networking platform, and we're ready for you. But with that, and with all this renewed interest of using LinkedIn as a business networking platform, LinkedIn has evolved quite substantially with both the capabilities of their ad platform and then the best practices on how to use the platform to brand yourself, brand your company, and get new business. So specifically, I mean, even the whole idea of really promoting thought leader posts is pretty recent. Back when I started really focusing on LinkedIn ads about 5-6 years ago, it was still company based. and you run ads from your company page. We'd always recommend posting on your company page. That was the important part. But just like you're saying, there again has been a shift because it is hard to trust companies. There is a lot of competitiveness out there. There's a lot of competitors for people to choose from. And if you're not able to establish the right trust and credibility, people aren't going to choose you. So when it comes to thought leadership, you have to consider that there's some main components there that are lacking outside of your ad campaigns. And what it is people trust people, right? It's much easier to trust the voice of somebody or an expert at a company than just to trust that a company is saying that they're the best, right? Every company is going to say they're the best. We can make you more revenue. We can save you time. But how are you doing that? And when you hear the experts posting and talking about their expertise, their job, what makes them the best, it's much easier to influence the prospects that are considering that as a service or an offer. And the other part is brand equity. When people are posting and they're sharing their expertise and they're establishing these thought leader posts, you're building a lot of brand equity. And once you even get to ad campaigns or you're running ad campaigns, you can't ask for that direct close or direct call to action without having that brand equity out of the market. So the best way to utilize it is one, yes, like post about your expertise. Absolutely. Never worry about likes or engagement. Post. Whenever you see the amount of impressions you're getting, understand that those are people seeing what your posts are. Now, the way that you enhance that, and I think this is more specifically to your question, Brad, is through an ad campaign. So you can boost it. You can boost it from your company page, but don't just do that. Don't just boost it. Go into your campaign manager and put a campaign to specifically target the ICP that you want. And then also what that'll make sure to do is as people engage with your post, you can then retarget them later. And that's how you're going to maximize your efforts. Get people interested and ensure they stay in your bucket so that you can then hit them with additional ads that are going to build that trust and credibility.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's talk about that in a little more detail from the point of view of, let's say someone, I could use myself as an example. Like I have a ton of video content. I've been making video content on LinkedIn for, I don't know how long, but ever since I could. Like the moment they allowed live streaming, I signed up for it and I got in really early. And so I've got this really big archive of this kind of content, like a live production. But I also have, ever since they have sort of shortened and shrunk, and now they have a short forms feed that's separate, I've been making lots of short form content. So I have an archive of stuff, any which could be turned into an ad. And because it's on my profile, it could be turned into a thought leader ad. Yep. So if I want to set up a campaign that, number one, positions me as the authority for what I do and showcases some of the expertise that I have and is also just genuinely helpful to the people who I want to serve. But then I also want to build like a group of people so that when I'm ready to make an offer, when I have something to invite them to, and in this case, let's say like later this month, I'm doing a webinar. So my overall goal is I want a whole bunch of people to attend this masterclass that I'm doing. And so I want to build a campaign that will ultimately drive folks to have the desire to come to my masterclass and feel like, oh, this is totally for me. So how would you design, and I think this is a typical thing for lots of people who are doing any kind of online marketing. This is the kind of path or funnel or customer journey they're wanting to build. So what would you advise to them in terms of how they would structure a campaign so that they would get the outcome that they're looking for?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's different approaches here. And I think this play specifically is the brand play, right? Really solidifying your brand in front of the target audience or ICP that would be interested in hearing about you and getting your recognition out there. But then also ensuring you're using those same kind of posts to stay in front of those people. And I'll discuss why here in a second. But you said two really strong things in this podcast already, which LinkedIn is completely bullish on right now. And you will see them promoting this with their own budget when they see these posts coming out, is that Brad, I think that you believed in Netflix as soon as it came out, right? You knew Blockbuster was like heading out the door because that's what video is now. And you'll see them really talking about how thought leader is the way and how videos are the best medium to use. And it makes sense, right? We have shorter and shorter attention spans. I said this just the other day in another podcast that I am equally guilty of this. Those shorter and shorter videos, and I'm scrolling through them and I'm just consuming doom scrolling, I think they called it, but I'm part of that. We have short attention spans and you have to appeal to people. So very specifically, the way that you would want to build out a campaign like this, because you want to retain those people that are engaging. So at a very specific level, when you go into Campaign Manager, you set up a campaign with the engagement objective. What that means is when you build your audience of the people that make up your either total addressable market or specifically your ICP, those are the people that you're promoting your content to. And engagement says, I want the people that engage with ads, right? That engage with posts. That means that likes, comments, shares, any kind of engagement you get with it, that's the people it's going to target in your market. As you get that engagement, you want to make sure that you go to your audiences on the Campaign Manager and set up an audience for single image interactions. So that means that anybody that interacts with that post or any of the posts, and I say one post, but you obviously want to put multiple posts in there. On if you're using it top of funnel, cold audience, you're building it in the platform, probably 5 to 10 posts you want to include in there. And then when you build that matched audience, anyone that engages with those posts, they're going to go into that audience. You then want to use those posts again to retarget that same audience. So what this is doing, it's solidifying you and your brand as an expert in their minds. And when you are ready, like you have an event coming up, you already have an audience that knows who you are. They know your brand, they know your messaging, and they're ready much higher in the process of wanting to enroll to go to an event like that versus just a cold audience or people that just saw you maybe once or twice. Right. So it's a way to engage your cold audience and then stay in front of them with the post that you think is most beneficial for them to hear and ultimately have the audience to use for whatever you want. Now, keep in mind, for like a regular intent-driven ad campaign, there's additional strategies you want to use with that. But in this play that you're talking about specifically, it's about building your brand, solidifying that in their minds, and keeping that audience available for anything else you might want to send them to.
Okay, I just want to underline a couple things you said so that people who are totally new will go, oh yeah, okay, I got it now. So main thing I heard was this engagement. And I know that like when you're doing a thought leader type of post, you only have two types of objectives. One is brand awareness and one is engagement. So the idea here is you pick engagement. And what that does, tell me if I'm wrong, is that now the algorithm is going to put your content in front of people like continually who are engaging. They're looking, hunting for people who do something like react to it in some way. They either click more to read the post or they click like or they do whatever they do. And that's just a signal that, oh, here's a person who is interested in this content. So we want to show this kind of person more of this kind of stuff. Am I getting that right?
That's exactly right. So, I think a lot of people read too deep into like how algorithm optimizes, but what you're saying is exactly right. It's looking for people, if they've engaged with posts in the past, they're most likely to engage with your post now. And so they want to show them your ad to get them to engage, or your post, excuse me, to get them to engage with it.
Right. And the other thing I heard, which is really interesting, is that instead of just throwing up a single type of post or whatever as your ad, you put in a group of them, like maybe as many as 10 within a single campaign. And those will, I guess, go in a kind of rotation. Is that right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So now a single person who you've targeted in your audience might see more than one of the ads from these campaigns. And they'll go, oh, I saw this person. And I see them again, like in that campaign that you're running for however long, they may see a few pieces of content instead of seeing the same thing multiple times.
Right. And where the real differentiator is when it's your cold audience, top of funnel, when you put people in that don't know about you, you're going to use that data to optimize which posts get the most engagement, and you need statistical significance. So you let those run for 3 to 4 weeks. You say, which of these posts, when people see it once or maybe 2 different posts, which posts are they engaging with? Because keep in mind, bigger audience, cold audience, they're only going to see 1 or 2 of these posts. So you're using that for data purposes. Now, once you take all that engagement, you start stopping the posts that aren't getting as much engagement top of funnel or in your cold audience. When you retarget that matched audience, and again, use your post, use engagement objective again for your retargeting audience. Now you're still going to use 5 to 10 posts, but now they're going to see these different posts all the time. So consider this, your cold audience, it's to optimize for which posts resonate the most with your target audience. And you're going to use that data to kind of whittle down to the maybe 2, 3, or 4 that are most effective. But in that retargeting audience, you're going to keep all 10. And that means every month they're probably going to see 3 to 5 different posts from you. So you want that variation of your different content to keep them engaged and really establish your expertise.
Oh, that's so interesting. All right, well, let's go back. Now, one thing that you mentioned very early on in our conversation was ICP.
Yeah.
And for those that don't know, that's ideal client persona or customer persona. Is that?
Yeah, ideal customer profile.
The profile. Okay, there we go. And so when I'm, again, like starting from scratch and I'm going on the platform, there are a lot of choices in terms of how to pick who you want to put your campaign in front of the content you're posting. So talk a little bit about that and what are the choices that people have when they're choosing this sort of, narrowing down and getting a niche audience that is much more accustomed to who would be a good fit for the content that they're making.
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the most powerful things about LinkedIn is the targeting, right? Is the professional filters that you can use. So it's already the most up-to-date professional network in the world. So it has the best data when it comes to professionals. And then it gives you professional filters like no other platform has to be able to target with. So you can get as granular as possible with who you want to target. Now, the reason I kind of differentiate your total addressable market from your ICP is you can put in everybody, right? So let's say for me, I think that SaaS, IT services, business services, and consulting and marketing agencies is all the different industries that I want to target, anywhere from manager to CEO. That's not focused. Now, I could target all of them and run general types of posts and content. And in fact, I can look at the data a month later and see who engages the most to figure out my most active audience on LinkedIn and who in the market is currently the most interested in my type of services. But you might already have that data, or your posts already might be geared to a specific ICP within all the different, total addressable market that you can target. In which case, again, you can drill that down. So I know that SaaS right now is a heavy need for advertising services on LinkedIn. So that's a good industry for me to target. So I'm specifically going to target computer software and software development. And I might specifically target the executives at companies between 2 to 200. And then maybe I'll even put in like a revenue target for where I want those companies to be. So you can get as granular as you want. If you already know that your content is going to resonate more with the specific industry or a specific target audience, put them in. If you want to start broader and figure out, hey, who's going to engage with this the most, you can do that as well. Let it run for a month, go to your demographics, break it down by different industries, job titles, job seniority, job functions, company sizes, and see who's engaging the most. You can then edit that campaign to specifically target that audience, because if you're going to put a little bit of money behind this, and it doesn't have to be a lot, if you're going to put some money behind it, target the people that are most interested in what you're saying right now.
Yeah, right. All right. So when it comes to retargeting, does LinkedIn, when LinkedIn is storing things like how many people engaged with this, how many video views did a video get, that kind of thing, is that, and the same thing with like website visits, is that data coming just from the ads that you're posting? Like they saw this ad and they engaged with this ad, but not any of the previous content? Like, is it only the ad reaction that's being measured? Or do they also store and measure just the broad amount of content, the organic content that you're also posting?
So it's only engagement with the ads once you're running those ads.
Okay.
Keep in mind though that anything on LinkedIn is retroactive, so it goes back 365 days. So if you ran, if you promoted your thought leader ad 3 months ago, you can still get that data on anybody that clicked like or comment or share, and you can still retarget them. The only one that's not retroactive is website visits. And remember that website visits picks up people from other sources as well. So could have just been referral based. People found you some other way. Maybe you're running Google or some other channel. Your website visits will pick them up, but you have to have the matched audience built in the platform. So make sure your insight tags installed on your website. Make sure your website visits audience are built so it's collecting data. Outside of that, your company page visits, your single image interactions, and you can pick what percentage of a video people watch. I like to make sure there's some intent there. So depending on the length of the video, let's say it's a minute, I'd probably use either 50 or 75% or higher. Let's say it's less, like 30 seconds, I'd probably only use like 97% or higher. But regardless, all that's retroactive. The only one that you want to make sure you have in right now is website visits, and you can use the others, as you see fit. Kind of like for me, the best practices is website visits, company page visits, and anyone who interacted with the ads, whether they clicked on, a regular post or they watched a certain amount of a video.
Right. Okay. That's cool. Yeah. And so, but you can combine these. Like if you're doing a single campaign, I could target all of those. Is that right?
Absolutely. So yeah, you can put as many as you want. I also suggest putting. So I build multiple matched audiences. Or you look at my matched audience list, it looks ridiculous. But I like to have enough there to be prepared if I want to use it in a certain way. So 30, 60, 90, and 100-day audiences. Maybe you have a webinar coming up. Okay, 160 days, right? If it was on platform, you can go back 365 days. Website visits only goes back 180. Or maybe you have a campaign and you're doing some kind of trial for your offer or something, and you want to hit a hot, warm audience. I might use the 30-day visits. But when you build that campaign, you simply OR them in there. Website visits or company page or image interactions or video views. And it's going to include them all within that target audience. You can even get really granular if you want to. If you want people that only visit certain pages, or let's say you want to retarget your Google traffic, you can set up the parameters to do that, and you can get as granular as you want with it. So you can use them all. You can get very specific. There's just a ton of different ways that you can get creative with your matched audiences.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, I'm just wondering, okay, so for on the ongoing, like if we look at the long-term picture of this, it sounds like one of the keys here is that you should always have some kind of ad running, whatever that is. Like it would be a good practice. Tell me if this is a good idea. If a good practice to, have the maybe top of funnel campaign with 10 different pieces of content in that campaign and just keep it running even at a low budget, because that's always going to be picking up new people and going into one of these matched audiences that you can then retarget when you need to.
That's exactly right. And this is something I think is overlooked even by other LinkedIn professionals that I've had this conversation with, or even just general marketing professionals, because everyone thinks that they know where your budget should be spent, right? It should be spent on SEO, should be spent on your website. There's a million places that you could spend your budget. But this is an easy way to spend low budget and make sure that you're not only getting consistent brand awareness and post engagement, but the data you're getting. And if you have that consistently running, at any point you can go assess the data and see where that shift in the market has been that you're getting the most interactions from. So I think that in and of itself is very important and helps with how you might want to create your content or ads if you're doing ads, because a certain segment is engaging the most. Start tailoring some content for them, right? But that's something you can have continuously going, continuously adding to that funnel, and just kind of slow burn. So you get the data, you get the engagement, and you continue building matched audiences for whatever you might need them for.
Yeah, I think just the value of knowing what's interesting to your people.
Yeah.
Just like we're constantly needing to learn from our audience, learn from our ideal customers out there. Like they are the ones who have their own desires and their own desired outcome and the thing that they're trying to go for and the thing that they're struggling with. And they will tell you based on their response to how you're speaking to them. And if you're saying something to them that is a complete miss, well, using these tools, you're going to know fairly quickly that, okay, let's not do this kind of thing anymore. Let's lean over here because clearly this is what's getting the better response.
Absolutely, 100%. And I even say that for ad campaigns, and even if it's a low budget ad campaign, you use a variation of pain points and benefits to appeal to people. They'll tell you what's most interesting to them. You might think that right? But every company out there is also a lot of times putting these like regular pain points and benefits and how their service helps, but it's the audience that will tell you what they're actually interested in and what's grabbing their attention. So whether you're using that for your thought leadership posts to continue making content that's most relevant right now, because it might be different in a month or two. Things change, the market changes, people's needs and wants changes. But you'll see what's relevant now and be able to continue optimizing and creating more for that. Same on the ads campaign. You'll see what kind of benefits resonate the most with people, and then you'll be able to optimize for that. And so that's such a big key part to running these campaigns as well, is just staying on top of what's relevant.
Yeah. Okay. Well, last question. When you're talking about a low budget, what does that actually look like? What's the parameters for a low budget?
Yeah, so I'd say in an example like we were talking about, just kind of like a slow burn to keep out there. Low budget is $300. You can run a budget as low as $300 a month. Now, typically, if I say low budget for like an ad campaign, because I do like to, if you're doing thought leader, we can run that in tandem with the ad campaign. To me, that's the most powerful combination, because then you're covering the aspect of the company selling its services and promoting its services along with the experts. And probably a low budget around there is like $1,500 to $2,000. Overall $1,000 to $1,500, you can still put a funnel into place that can be effective for you. So it just depends on what you're trying to do and what your goal is. Ultimately, even with the $1,000, you can have a top of funnel thought leadership campaign running, and you can have a retargeting thought leadership campaign running. So really solidifying your brand in front of these people. So it doesn't have to be too expensive to get a lot of value from it.
That's great. That's awesome. That's actually really accessible for just about any business. It's sort of, here's the advice here is that if you're not doing this, like, what are you thinking? Like this, first of all, I just want to, get on the soapbox for LinkedIn a little bit. LinkedIn is where exactly your ideal right fit people are. This is where the business world is hanging out, especially if you're B2B. If you're doing any kind of service that is for a business, you really want to engage on LinkedIn. However, the idea of doing it all organically, man, like who is going to do that? Like who signed up to get on there every day and answer? Like I see people who are in this mode of they're doing great. Like it appears like they're doing great. They post stuff and they get 500 comments on a single post, but half of those comments are them replying, which means that I don't know how many hours it takes for them to sit there and do all of that, or how much of their day is spent. Oh, I got to reply again. All of a sudden it's like this pattern interrupt all day long. It's like, when do they get any work done? And when do they actually do the thing that they do, And so it makes me wonder and marvel. And it's like, oh, who has time for that? And not just the time, it's like, who wants, this isn't the business that I wanted to be in. So using campaigns like this for a mere, the minimum of, let's say, $1,500 a month. Oh my gosh, what the heck? If you have a service and your lifetime value of your customers in tens of thousands of dollars or more, why wouldn't you be doing this?
100%. That's exactly right. And and you're right. It's like a full-time job. Writing posts, writing content. You have to respond to other people's posts and respond to comments on your own posts. That can be a full-time job, and it's a lot. So one is you can set up a method to try to promote it and keep it burning there with the post that you do put semi-regularly. And two, it's something that a lot of times nowadays is getting passed either to the marketing team or third-party agencies. And it's still authentic because typically they're based on interviews with them, and they can take those interviews, break that down into content in their voice, get them to sign off on it. So that's one approach. Or the other approach is you try to put in the time when and where you can, along with your other responsibilities, but you try to make them as impactful as possible.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in that. I actually feel like if you're an expert, the thing that you want to be doing is showcasing your expertise, but not you do not want to become a content creator.
Right.
So do the thing that you do, like consult with people, and whether you do it from a stage or you do it on a podcast or you simply just do it one-on-one with your client, record that, like record your side of those kinds of presentations
Yeah,
and turn that into what we're talking about today. Turn that into thought leadership ads.
exactly. Yeah.
And you're done. Like that's like you're not having to do an extra job. You're doing the thing that you're here to do. And now you can take advantage of these tools to just amplify the showcasing of how good you are at what you do.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, this has been really cool conversation. I could talk quite a bit longer about this, but our
Oh,
time
me
is
too.
out.
I usually have to censor myself because I usually can't stop talking.
Right. So if people are inspired and they're going, okay, I'm interested in this, but I want help, and this Joshua guy with the cool hat seems like a good guy to to talk to, how would they best reach out to you?
Yeah, so the best way, well, there's three different ways. So you can find me on LinkedIn, shoot me a connection request, just look me up, Joshua Stout. You should find me and my picture on there. So shoot me a DM, connect with me. The other way is you can shoot me an email, josh@influent.co, or of course visit our website, go to the advertising tab, and schedule a call with me. Happy to give advice free of charge. Schedule a call, shoot me a message. Happy to give you my thoughts. And of course, if it is something that you might be looking for help in, or need a partner to help you do the creative and post and come up with strategies around your content, we can help with that as well. So either reach out on LinkedIn, shoot me an email, or go to our website and schedule a call.
All right. Well, I'll make sure that links to all your stuff are in the show notes. And Josh, thank you so much for coming on today. This has been fantastic.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. I was really excited to be here. I'm happy we got to talk some LinkedIn with people.
Right. All right. And for those listening at the end, I just want to remind you, if you want to go and binge the entire archive of the Standout Business Show, just go to standoutbusiness.show. It's all there, all the audio and the video, plus the special stuff that I put in there just for my listeners. We go live every Tuesday. Cool way to join is to join us live, or you can just listen on your favorite podcast app. Please subscribe, follow the show so that you don't miss another episode. And until the next time, so long, everyone.